All right. Welcome, everybody, to tonight's live session. Let me know if you can hear me. I see at least one person here, Jeff. Jeff, can you hear me? Let's just make sure our audio is working before we get started here. Jeff, chat in the chat box if you don't mind, if you can hear me. And can you hear me? Sweet. Awesome. All right. Well, we got two people here, Jeff and Tyler. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate having you. I'm sure we'll get more here as we go. I typically will advertise this in my email list, but I didn't because today I put out my pre-sale on my Bigfoot, which you see behind me here. I got 3 of them. And that's actually, and then we got John here. Thanks for joining us, John. Good to see you. Well, at least your name. I want to start with, you may have seen, you probably saw that I launched my Bigfoot pre-sale today. And I've created some confusion because I've had several, Jeff says, huge push on the new board, visible all over Facebook. That's good to hear. I don't know where you're seeing it because the only place I've posted it is on my page. But so anyway, I've had several questions today, people asking me about the package options on the order page, and I created some confusion with that. So let me just start by explaining that. So what I'm doing is I'm only ever going to sell this as a deck only. I'm not offering completes anymore. And the reason for that is just because I don't have scale. I have my daughter working for me, but she's already running ragged, doing everything else for me. She films for me. She edits for me. She does my customer service. She does order fulfillment. She does social media management. And so I don't have the capability of putting together completes without it costing me a ton of time and therefore money, is it's me putting them together. So it just doesn't make, it's so funny. Jeff, you're the third person that I've heard call her Trinity. And I don't know where you guys are getting Trinity. Her name is Liberty. So I don't know if you're just not hearing it in my videos or what, but yeah, my daughter's name is Liberty. She's 19. But anyway, so I won't be, it's no problem, Jeff. I'm not like offended by or anything. It's just interesting to me that it's a recurring thing. People apparently hear Trinity or something. So any rate, I won't be offering completes. Probably not ever, honestly. Just doesn't make any sense for me to do so. And so what I'm offering is you basically have 3 options on your order page. You can either just get the deck only, or you can get the deck with a Waterborne fin system, surf and rail adapter, or you can get the Waterborne surf and rail adapter with TKP trucks. And you're going to have to put it together. And Waterborne is going to ship, if you buy a Waterborne, that's coming to you directly from Waterborne, not me. And so the only thing that you're going to get from me is a deck. I had somebody ask me if you need to buy wheels and bearings if you're buying a complete setup. Yes, you do. If you don't already have any. And so the 2 Waterborne options are basically, if you already have TKP trucks, then you don't need them for the surf and rail adapter. But if you don't, then you'll need TKP trucks as well for that Waterborne surf and rail adapter. So it's just an opportunity for you to get a Waterborne for 10% off. But like I say, there's no completes. I'm not putting them together, and all you're getting from me is the deck. So hope that clears that up. I'll put out some emails about it too, but we're running the pre-sale for 2 weeks, so we'll see how it goes. And I've also had people ask me, if I'm going to be selling these internationally. And obviously, I just have to see if these are even going to go here. And if they do well here, then I can start looking into that as a possibility. And what that would have to look like is I would have to find a manufacturer overseas, like an HLC. HLC is the parent company to Yao, and they're the largest skateboard manufacturer in Europe that I'm aware of. So, I have my deck specs. All I'd have to do is take it to any manufacturer and say, build this for me. But there's just no point in doing that if I if I haven't have a proven track record yet. So we'll see how this 2 weeks goes. And these 2 weeks will also decide whether or not I'm going to move forward with developing a 57-inch deck, which is, as I've said, that's the one I'm really excited about. But I got to say, I really love this Bigfoot. I was out riding it this afternoon, and it's really, really a lot of fun. And I say that in context. As I say this, I'm staring at 20 longboards that I bought. And the Bigfoot is really like it genuinely is. I was able to take all of that, everything I learned from all of this experimentation and put it into the Bigfoot. So it has been such a fun process. I can't even begin to tell you how fun it's been for me. I hope they fly it for no other reason than I want to just keep doing this. I've really fallen in love with woodworking. I delivered my molds to Madrid skateboards down in Huntington Beach last weekend, and they are pressing decks right now. And also, I heard from them that they have received my heat transfers from China. That was the big thing that we were waiting for. We didn't know when I wasn't supposed to get heat transfers till like end of February, but heat transfers are in, and they're pressing, and we should be done. I should be going to pick those up hopefully by the end of February at the latest. So that's my hope. So yeah. So Jeff, I hear you say Madrid. That name speaks volumes. It was awesome. I haven't yet. I've been working with Alex Breton down there at Madrid. I honestly don't know what his title is there, but he's been my contact at Madrid, and I haven't even met Jerry Madrid, the owner and founder. But last weekend, when I was delivering my molds, we were pulling them out of my car, and Jerry walks up, and it was really funny because my girlfriend was filming, because next Sunday, I'm dropping a video on me making these molds and delivering them. And my girlfriend was filming, and and right as Jerry Madrid walks up, she hits stop. I'm like, Beth, hurry, hit record. This is Jerry Madrid. And so you'll see that in the video. But anyway, long story short is I got to meet Jerry Madrid last weekend, and he's just a super cool guy, just really chill, really non-assuming, and just really gracious guy. And so that was really cool. All right. So enough about my deck. Let me go to some questions here. Guitar Giraffe asks, do you always get slammed on the same side of your hips? I'm taking a week break as I seem to take slams always on the same side, heel side. Hip pads help, but I need Kevlar or something. Yes, 100%. It's always I'm goofy. And so for me, it's my right foot is facing forward. So if I slam, I'm going to slam on that front hip. And in fact, that's why on my most recent video on 3 tips for beginners, and I recommend protective gear, and I recommend those rip clips in there. I don't have them here, but rip clips they just slide into the side of your hips instead of having to wear like this full diaper type thing, right? And he actually sells those one at a time individually and not and as a set for that very reason, because most people are slamming on the same side. So 100%. Yeah. Yep. So you might want to try out those rip clips. They've worked well for me. Gentleman Jeff says, I thought the explanation of the Wheelbite's cutouts was brilliant. Nice demo with different trucks. Oh, I don't know about brilliant. I mean, it was just, I appreciate it, but there was really no brilliance about it. It was just me. the only advantage I have is just having all these trucks. And so I'm able to test them and see where they're hitting. Right. And it was kind of cool because when my first version of these didn't so much look like footprints, but then after I tested, you can't really see these. I widened them up here, and then they ended up actually kind of looking like footprints, which was kind of a cool little added bonus. But and then I've had people say, and of course I've had the same thought, say that it would be cool to put like 5 little dots for toes up here. But to do that, I mean, that would either be routering, which means you're routering 10 toe holes, which would be stupid. Or I suppose you could get it in the heat transfer if you were to get those situated just right. But anyway, point being is it's not really feasible, but it would be cool. But yeah, Jeff, Madrid does make some really cool stuff, and they are old school in a lot of good ways. Like when I told them, it's so funny. I'm just learning all this stuff myself. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I have this grad student who does my CAD design over at the college extension. And she's not anything sophisticated. I mean, she's been very helpful, but anyway, so when I told them I was making my old molds and I had a CNC designer, Madrid was actually asking me for the CAD designer. And I was like, what are you talking about? Don't you guys have CAD designers yourself? What do you guys do when you make a new mold? I guess they actually hand shape everything. Like that's how Jeff is, not Jeff, I'm talking to Jeff. That's how Jerry has done everything from the start, is old school hand shaping. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if that's like doing it on shaping on styrofoam first or something. I have no idea what that process would look like, but I thought for sure everybody was using CNC or CAD design to do molds, but turns out it's not actually true. But yeah, Madrid has it was really fun going to their shop. They got lined on their walls all old stuff they've done. They've got some really, really cool stuff, and they've been just an absolute pleasure and joy to work with. Really great to work with. So I really love Madrid. Okay. Yep. Guitar giraffe was regular, so you slam on your left. Exactly. Yep. That'll happen. So it's spelled, rip clips are spelled RHIP. That rip, it's like a play on hips, right? So if search for RHIP clips and you'll find those rip clips. You might, there's a word missing, so I'm trying to figure. Some dancing longboards on the Bigfoot showing stability in them with crazy balance skills, not looking awkward, caught stepping. Yeah. So obviously, I need to get more riding footage. My best team rider, if you watch the riding video of the Bigfoot, obviously Gabe Frager is the best cross stepper, and he's phenomenal. He's really fun to watch. But there is, if you know Taylor Airway appeared on a Carver video called Finding Flow or something like that. And he's down in Venice Beach, super cool guy. I've met him on several occasions down at events down there. But when I was at an event one time, Carver event last year or a year or two, and I had a few longboards out, Taylor Airway and Gabe Frager were just rocking these things. It was so much fun. In fact, I have a video, cross stepping out on Surfskates. Look up for that. And that was a play on the song I did, but look up that video and you'll find Taylor Airway. But I'm going to get him on the Bigfoot. I want to get a video of him and Gabe Frager together. But yeah, for sure, I'll get more. I just haven't, had time. I literally have only had these 3 hand-shaped ones for a few weeks now, right? And so when I went down to Huntington Beach to deliver my molds, I took these 3 ones I'd hand-shaped, and that's how I got the video with my team riders. So anywho, yeah, we'll get some better riding footage over time for sure. Yeah, Professor Schmidt's a cool guy too. I follow him on Instagram, and I've watched a lot of YouTube stuff of his. I really geek out on his stuff because I would love to be mentored by him, honestly, because he starts talking about nanotubes in the wood and stuff, and that my brain just geeks out on that kind of stuff. I really dig his stuff. Then Guitar Giraffe says the 30-day journey to bull riding was at 30 days in a row. It's been very inspiring to me. We're about the same age. Never thought we're about the same age. I never thought I'd be able to even get close to a bull. Were you ever discouraged? It was not 30 days. It was not 30 consecutive days. No. I'd have to remember, but I'd say it was over the course of possibly 2, if not 3 months. But it was quick. I was really dedicated. Like I was getting out every day. It would have been, I don't know, travel or whatever that I would have been interrupted by, but it would have been at least 2 months. And did I get discouraged? I wouldn't say I got discouraged because I was so committed. And just the way that I work is when I set my brain to something, I'm just going to do it. It's going to happen. It'll figure out one way or another. I'll get frustrated, but like if there was any discouragement, it was in the first, as I think back, I was going to say, it's just like the first 10 days or so, but honestly, it's like 20 days. Give it 20 days solid of really putting in the time of showing up at the park and putting in your reps and being consistent and with the reps and getting an hour practice a day, at least every day. 20 days is about the time. I remember if you look at my video, I think it was day 21 when I really unlocked a front side turn. And that's when everything changed for me. So it's just push through those first 20 days, push through the first 3 weeks. And yeah, it's frustrating as hell and it's not fun and you look stupid. I mean, watch my video. I look so dorky. But who cares? Put in the practice and it's so worth it. And it just eventually clicks. But I would say 20 days. 20 days would be the marker. Give it 20 days, it'll click for you. Yeah, Jeff says, I love watching stuff, Professor Schmidt stuff. He and I think so much alike when it comes to details of things that I love. And I'm the exact same way. I watch him on YouTube videos. And when he starts getting all scientific and technical, and I just want to sit at his feet and just take notes. And man, he's fun. Discouraging part for me is the slams mainly. Yeah. 100%. If you're getting hurt, if you watch my video, I literally only got hurt 2 times. And before I had hip pads. And then since having hip pads, I have fallen a couple times, I think. Well, like in my honestly, I can count on one hand the times that I've fallen bull riding. I just took it so conservative, but in my Octosurf one, I have a little fall, but I was wearing the rip clips. But put on hip pads and you're going to get over that. I don't cover in the bull riding journey, which is the drop-in evolution. Well, that's because I've never learned drop-ins. I've never had to. All the bulls that I ride here, you have roll-ins. So I actually started like the same year that, it's been like 3 years, honestly, since I put out that video, but it might be 2. I don't know. No, I think it's going on 3. I think it was 2021. But when the same year after I learned bull riding, I did start learning drop-ins and I was filming it and everything. And life just got in the way. I just wasn't able to keep it up. I was doing them. I'd show up and I'd do 100 reps every day. And I have footage of it and everything. And I was doing that for maybe 2 weeks. And then life just got in the way, and I've just never picked it up since. And then I got into the longboards, and since the longboards, I'll go ride in the bowl to test ride stuff, to do reviews and stuff, but I don't ride the bowls anymore. I'm just having too much fun on these longboards. If it were more convenient to me, it's so convenient for me to just walk out to my college campus that's a block from my house. I literally don't even have to drive to ride out to it. So it's so convenient for me. And when, bull riding, you have to drive too. But anyway, let's see. Oh, gentleman, Jeff, this is Jeff Bishop. Oh, yes. I sent you a new version of the Stinger transition for your winners. Jeff, to be honest, I literally haven't even opened it up yet. Forgive me. I have been insanely slammed. As much as you guys see me produce here on the Surfskate Love front, we're doing a video a week, and I'm doing a lot of stuff. I'm only able to do that because I have my daughter, but I have a whole other real career. Surfskate Love is not my real career. And so I'm insanely busy right now on both fronts. And I just literally have not had a chance to open that up, Jeff. So I apologize for that. I'll take a look at that this week, but I really appreciate that. That's really fun. I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. I saw you jump out of the Venice Beach Bowl quite nicely, so I figured you'd also drop in. No, that Venice Bowl has a roll-in. You don't have to drop that in. It's a steep roll-in, but it's just a roll-in. I wish I could drop in. It would honestly, dropping in. If I were to get back in and be doing bowl riding regularly, I would learn that skill. And the reason for it is not only is it just a good skill, but what it does is open up new lines for you because you can drop into different places on the bowl. So anyway, that would be a good skill for me to learn, but so would a lot of things be, as I say it out loud. Yeah, that would be cool with the Bigfoot graphics. Yeah, that's awesome on your master's degree, Jeff. Keep me posted on how that's going. Okay, so we're all caught up here with everything with people live. Let me thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Really appreciate your support. Couldn't do this without you. And that's to Guitar Giraffe, who says it's been great talking to you. It's late. So good night. Thanks for having you, or it's good having you. Thanks for being here. Okay, so Allison asks, here's an email I got. My daughter's going to be 11 in March. I'm wondering about getting her a surf skate for her birthday. She's always wanted a skateboard. She's always wanted to surf. She's used to sliding. She's ice skated since she was three. She plays hockey several times a week. Although I'm conscious that a surf skate is a different sort of movement, I'm wondering what the best surf skate for her would be. We live in the UK, so it would need to be one we can source here. We've also seen the Curve skate blades you get on the board on the ice. Do you know if these fit other surf skates? As far as I know, those Curve blades would fit any surf skate because I think they're universal. I think they just go onto your axles. So yeah, I'm not saying that for 100% certain, but I guess I can't imagine it being any other way because it's a simple configuration of just attaching to the axle. So I'm guessing that's just a very universal fixture. And then to your first question, I'm across the board. I'm pretty much always going to just say Carver CX for starters, but for an 11-year-old, definitely 85A bushings, if not softer. That's the softest we have on Riptide. Yeah, Carver CX, and I'm certain you can get Carvers in the UK. But for that, I would say Carver CX with 85A bushings. And then Ryan asks, let's see here. I've been interested in surf skating for some time, though having a bit of trouble picking out a board. Thank you for the selector app. This has narrowed down my search. However, I'm having some trouble finding any weight limit info for these boards. For instance, I found that Curfboard has a 220-pound weight limit, but I have seen no such information for other brands, including my preference of a Carver C7. Would you happen to have any insights on board structs for a heavier rider? Really just looking for a cruising board that allows propulsion being pumping on mostly flat terrain. So I'm surprised that Curfboard says it has a weight limit of 220, because really, like, I can't imagine that being the weight limit. I honestly don't think there's really any surf skate truck that would work for weight. Like, I don't think that's like a huge consideration. It's not like they're not going to be able to handle the weight. My thought process on that is less about like, can the trucks handle the weight, and more like, what are the body mechanics of that, that size of a body interacting with the trucks. But again, for me, I think Carver C7 is fantastic for what you're describing. I also think Carver CX is fantastic. And even, what he's saying, I would honestly probably stick with the Carver stock bushings, but you could go up to like the 92.5A. I sell 95A CX bushings, but I just honestly can't even imagine what any. I sell them because people have asked for them, but they sell very rarely. But I really can't. Your CX wouldn't even move even at any weight. But anyway, Carver CX with playing with the bushings would be, but a Carver C7 will also work fantastic for what you're saying too. I don't think there's any problem at all for what you're describing. Okay. Mark Nakamura, sorry, I shouldn't be saying last names, but Mark is a good customer. He's been one of the guys who's been asking me about the Waterborne options, and he asked me about the Waterborne fin system, and he just responded again and said, does the Waterborne system come with mounting hardware, or is that something I need to factor in? 100% does come with all the mounting hardware you need, both to attach it to the deck and to attach it to TKP trucks. Everything you need is all in the kit. All right. Jeff, you want a Curfboard way bad? I'm curious, what are you seeing on the Curfboard that makes you want one way bad? Because it's, to me, one of my least favorite trucks. Honestly, for me, Swelltech, out of my top 14, Swelltech and Curfboard are the only two that I just don't really even care at all about. Oh yeah, you want the blades, yeah. Well, you can have those blades, Jeff, because you could not pay me to ride that crap in the winter. I grew up in Washington State, backwoods Washington State, about an hour north of Spokane and about an hour south of the Canadian border. I did not even see the ocean until I was in my 30s. But my point being, I grew up in snow and cold, and I couldn't get out of it fast enough. So you can have it, and you can have those Curfboard ice blades, and not with all you Canadians, because you couldn't pay me enough to get out there in that snow and cold and ice. Been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. Okay. Now I'm going to go to questions on the YouTube channel, on videos. On the video there's a video that Shannon Zirkle produced for me on how to upgrade and customize your Carver CX. And she just replaces her bushings and pivot cups and wheels. But on that, somebody asked, I really want something to help me pump faster and get better speed. Do trucks, looseness, and bushings and type of wheels have anything to do with that? I'm super confused. Well, to be honest, the way you're asking that question is like, it shows that you're at such a beginning level that like you probably ought to be just focused on just riding. But the answer to that is Yes, all of the above has to do with pumping faster and better speed. Um, those are two different things, though. As far as like your speed that you'll carry at once you're up to speed, that's going to be a function of primarily wheels and then bearings. But as far as like pumping fast, then one of the things that I want to talk about is forward momentum, because that's a pretty big deal for me um, on these Surfskate trucks. So for me, I don't prefer the ones that don't have good forward momentum, like the Smooth Star Thruster, the the Curfboard is that way. So for me, like as far as forward momentum goes, Carver CX and Waterborne Surf Adapter and Carver C7 are the best at like. But like when you say pumping faster, it's hard for me. You're describing kind of multiple things, because there's pumping fast from a dead still, and what does that look like? That looks like a really loose truck that's really effortless, but may not have a lot of forward momentum. But you're pumping faster, but you're not moving forward faster. But if you're trying to get better speed, well, then you want like something with better forward momentum, like a CX or a Waterborne. The Waterborne Surf Adapter has fantastic forward momentum. It's one of the reasons why I like it on the longboards so much. But there's a lot of reasons why I like it on the longboards. For whatever reason, I don't know why, but I've tried all of the Surfskate trucks except for Swelltech, and I'm not even going to try a Swelltech on these. And I haven't tried Smooth Star Thruster D yet because Ace Allen, my team rider, has it down in San Diego. But out of all of them, I always just come back to this Waterborne Surf Adapter. And it's not just me. I had, when I went down to film my team riders, I had these 3 hand-shaped ones, and to give them some variety, just for no other reason, I wanted to get their feedback too. I had a Waterborne Surf Adapter on one, a Carver C7 on another, and a Spicegate Octosurf on the other. And all 3 of my team riders all agreed that we all had the same opinion, that none of us really care for the Carver C7 on it. It just has kind of a weird, like a slip out sensation on the rails. And it's more like sluggish off the line, harder to pump. But once it gets moving, it has really great forward momentum. The Spicegate Octosurf, they all liked, but it's very effortless and smooth. But because it's so sensitive, it's twitchy on the cross steppers, and it's harder to cross step. And then all 3 of them agreed that out of those 3 at least, that the Waterborne Surf Adapter felt best. And so, yeah. Anyway, that was a long story short on Waterborne. I don't even know how I got on that. Okay. Someone asked on a longboard video, can you tell me if you notice that you get more final speed and momentum on these longer boards and I'm assuming then he means on the short boards. No, you don't. They're slower. There's something about the wide wheelbase that really slows you down. So, I mean, I can still get going fast. Like if you watch my college campus videos, there's that section that's like, it starts at the top and it's just a long straight section that you can go pretty fast on. I can get going pretty fast on that on the longboards, but it's very controlled speed. I'll go a lot faster and get a little bit more nervous on a short board than on the longboards. I'm very comfortable going at speed, going down hills on these longboards, assuming, in context. I'm not talking about crazy stuff, but if you're not using over 70 millimeter wheels, that would be a problem. If you're like the Hamboards use like really big wheels, and if you're using those kinds of wheels, you definitely would have, well, I mean, maybe that's what you're looking for. I say it's a problem, but they can really get out of hand on you. But long story short is no, the longboards are slower than the short boards, and there's something about a wide wheelbase that I don't know what creates more friction or what the deal is with that, but you go slower on longboards. Somebody asked me on last week I published a video on shaping my longboard. And somebody asked 2 questions. How long did it take? And also, will you sell some complete setups like this? I already answered the second question. No, I will never sell completes on this. It'll be deck only. And how long it takes is, I would say, from start to, you're not doing that consecutively, because there's time between stuff like painting and stuff, and like doing the lucid, the grip tape. But so it takes, several days. It'll take me at least 4 days to wait for paint to dry and spray on grip tape to dry and that kind of stuff. But in terms of total hours, I would say it's 3 to 4 hours start to finish on shaping these longboards. But it's a process. But I've really fallen in love with it. I've never done woodworking before, and I have let's add that to the list of things I've fallen in love with here, is woodworking. It is just so satisfying. I could be in my garage doing this stuff all day. But yeah, there's that question. Somebody says, can you help me with a few suggestions for Surfskates you recommend that are good for carving and cruising for a beginner? I'm not really interested in using this for surf training, just learning surf skating. I'm 5'7", female, live in Australia. I've done a bit of search your videos. They seem a bit old, possibly. I got a Hamboards burst. It's useless. I hate it. Yep, you're preaching to the choir, sister. The Allen head has even rounded out. I barely touched the thing. Very happy. Don't want to make another mistake wasting money. And then she asked, about Curfboards? Yeah, I don't know why she just didn't look at my video. But again, I'm just going to say Carver CX. Carver CX with probably 87.5A bushings for you, if not 85A. And I would not recommend Curfboards for beginners. I mean, it'll work, but I think a Carver CX, you're going to get a lot more versatility out of. On my video titled How to Generate Speed on a Surf Skate, somebody asked, does this technique work on a standard skateboard? I'm not a skateboarder, so I don't technically know, but I can't imagine that it would, nor can I imagine why you would want to be pumping on a standard skateboard. It's not really built for it. So my answer to that would be no, you can't really. I mean, yeah, it's possible. You can, but if you see guys pumping on a skateboard, they're typically just like tic-tacking, right? They're lifting their front wheels off. But no, you just don't have the fluidity in the trucks to do that. Somebody asked on my Landyachtz butter lines review, what would you have to do to make this able to carve a bowl? And my answer to that is replace it. That thing's a POS, if you ask me. Not only are the bushings trash for bowl riding, but so is the deck. The deck is just completely flat. It would be like the worst bowl riding deck ever. So I like that Landyachtz stupid butter lines thing would be the last thing in the world. Well, that's not true. There's, that's speaking hyperbolically, but it would be among the last ones I would try to in the bowl. That's my answer on the Landyachtz. Not a fan of the Landyachtz, and I think there's a reason why they're just giving those away now. Okay, we've had more questions in the live. Let me go back here. I'm impressed that you're doing grip on the new decks. I would just have the customer exercise their own time to do that. Oh, well, I couldn't really put out I mean, it's manufactured. I got to give you a complete product. And it's like it's a roll on. It's not a spray on, but it's think kind of like Lucid spray on grip tape, but it's not that. It's a roll on kind of a thing. But yeah, I wouldn't ever sell a deck that doesn't have grip on it. Like that's, I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to put together your complete, but I mean, would you want to get a deck in the mail that you had to grip tape to? Like how many people out there even have the ability to do that? I mean, of course you can figure it out, but no, I gotta give you grip for sure. No, I've never considered not doing grip on it. Because like I say, I got to give you a complete product. Jerry says, I converted my 44-inch 2 bare feet longboard to a Surfskate, and I hate it and I love it at the same time. Explain more what you mean by that. And also, just because you have a long deck doesn't mean make it cool or fun. There's a crap ton of longboard decks that feel awful on Surfskate trucks. So I'd have to see the model you're working on. But if you hate it, it's probably because the deck isn't working good. But somebody asked, Carver Ghostnet with CX or C7. I mean, that's personal preference. I'm always going to go CX. To be honest, I am really just not a fan of the C7. I never have been from the beginning. That's just not, and that's not to say it's bad. It's just all pure personal preference because there's plenty of people out there who love it. But Carver C7 is just not my truck. I guess the way I see it is the competitor to the Carver C7 is the Yao Meraki. So, and to me, I just like the Yao Meraki so much better than the Carver C7. So for me on Carvers, I'm always on a CX. And if I want more of a looser feel where like a C7 would be more appropriate for that, I'm personally going to use a Yao Meraki. So that's not me telling you to buy the Carver Ghostnet with a CX. That's me telling you if it were me buying it, I would buy it with CX. That's all I can say. But that's not to say that that's going to be the best decision for you. Oh, Jeff says every street deck in the world doesn't come with grip. That's what we do when we got the board home. Oh, that's cool. I never knew that. This is one of those things where not having grown up skating, I've never bought a deck that didn't have grip. And you would actually prefer to do your own grip. That's cool. Huh. Yeah, and somebody else said I should do my own custom grip tape, and that's probably a pretty easy thing for me to do. I should figure it out. But yeah, I got a lot of other problems to solve. I see. Yeah, that's news to me, Jeff. I did not know that. I didn't know. Skaters, really? Every skater out there is grip taping their own stuff every deck they buy? Interesting. This is the third time somebody has asked me this. On the Hamboards build, they ask, the Hamboards hardware is bigger than other stuff, which means the holes in the deck are bigger. And they're asking, how'd you get around that? And my answer, I've answered this before, but my answer is I just use regular hardware and I don't have a problem with it. Yeah, the holes are bigger, but it just has never been an issue for me. So no problem. Somebody asked, on my Koastal cruiser build, looks like a nice and surfy setup. Would you recommend it to a newbie? That's a loaded question. Really what you're asking is not less about the coastal cruiser or coastal drifter specifically and more about the longboards. Are the longboards good for a newbie? My hesitation is any newbie can pick up any type of skateboard and put in the time and learn it. But probably not. They're probably not the easiest for newbies, honestly. My hunch is that you probably want to figure out the general mechanics first on a short board before going straight to one of these longboards. Because if you, I've seen guys ride my Bigfoot that don't kind of have a great technique, and you can ride it, but it's just not graceful or super fun, visually. So I don't know. But no, so I guess long story short, I'd probably not recommend the longboards to newbies, honestly. Somebody asks, this is funny, on this, our Surfskate Love, or I did a contest a couple years ago, and there's these Surfskate contest highlights where it's a bunch of people all over the world. And somebody asked, "Que ruedas usas?" which means, what wheels do you use? And it's like, who are you asking? Which person in that video? There's about 30 people in that video. I have no idea. I personally use my own park wheels for park and bull riding. And my reason for that is because they're a lot grippier. If you've seen David Kempenen's wheel review series on the park and bull wheels, it was a phenomenal series. I spent a lot of money on buying all those wheels and getting them to him so we could do a really thorough job. But the recurring theme that you're going to find in all those is there's a lot that he likes, but they will inadvertently slide on the back when you're pumping. And if you're not doing a lot of pumping when you're bull riding, then that's a complete non-issue. And if you like easy slides, then that's a complete non-issue. I personally never have enjoyed that feeling. Every single time I've gotten on wheels, like it first started for me, like way back at the beginning when somebody recommended to me blood orange Morgan Pros, I think they're called. And I step on them and you start pumping and you're just sliding back and forth as you're pumping. And it's just like, what? And like I say, I guess if you're just bull riding, you're not doing a lot of pumping, but I'm a pumper. And even if I'm bull riding, like you're not seeing me pump in a bowl, but if I'm in a park setting, I at least want the ability to be able to, skate across the park without my back wheels sliding out. So, anyway, it's not me, selling my wheels. I'm just saying that for me, I like the grip, and that's the real, my wheels they're very fast. It's a very fast, high rebound formula. But they're just, you're going to get a lot more grip out of them than your typical Parker bull wheel. And that's why I appreciate them, because I don't like that slide out. It's uncomfortable for me. LFJ Dogs, CX, C7, or Yow, which feels most like surfing, but also can cruise to beach and back? Yow. I say that immediately as a non-surfer. And I have no qualifications or credentials to say what sound feels like surfing. I've just been around this long enough, talked to enough surfers long enough, and I know what people mean when they say a surfy feel. So yeah, I know it's, stupid of me as a non-surfer to be answering that question, but I'd be surprised if there's a lot of people who've tried all three who would disagree with that assessment. But yeah, for what you're describing, my immediate answer is yeah, Meraki. It gives you, it's quicker and snappier than the Carver C7. It gives you more rail-to-rail lean than the Carver C7. You get more forward momentum out of the Carver C7, but like if I were a surfer wanting more of a surf trainer, I would definitely choose a Yow over a Carver C7. And then somebody asked, what's the best truck system for speed pumping? Carver CX or Waterborne? And of course, the CX is going to depend on your bushings, because if you have 85A, really soft bushings in there, 85A, then you're going to lose forward momentum. So it depends on the bushings, but speed pumping, Waterborne surf adapter, or Carve CX. All right. Somebody asks, I asked for a butter white lines. This is the Landyachtz. Not in the intention to start surf skating, but I just wanted something I could have chill, smooth ride. Pick the butter white lines. Do you think the butter white lines is good for just cruising around town and having fun, or is it just a bad board in general? I mean, here's the deal. Everything is contextual. And this is on the video titled 10 cheap surf skates to avoid, where I'm saying, you know, in my opinion, is avoid the Landyachtz. But here's the deal. I say that in my context of having tried everything under the sun, and I'm in the US, and so, you know, there's no distribution problems for me here. So I have access to everything. So me, as a person who has access to everything and is willing to spend the budget on things, then in context, the Landyachtz is absolute garbage, in my humble opinion. But having said that, if I were in a place where that's the only thing I could get my hands on, I'd ride the damn thing every day and have a blast on it, right? So it's context, context, context. Can you ride that and have fun on it? Yeah, of course. Obviously, it's a skateboard. Any skateboard you can have fun on. But when you compare it to a Carver CX, it's just like, why would you spend the money on the Landyachtz? I have no idea. Context comparison. Somebody asked about my board racks on a video. They're nothing special. They're just stuff I got off of Amazon. I don't even know what the brand is. And to be honest, that's been something that's on my list of stuff that I want to make, is board racks, because they don't make skateboard or longboard racks that work for surf skates. The spaces between the slots are too narrow, because surf skate trucks are taller. And so I don't need to show you, but I'm looking at all my racks right now, and it's a pain in the butt to pull them all out, because you got to lift the ones above it. Anyway, you get the point. But I've wanted to create my own racks. That's on my list, but I need somebody smarter than me. The idea that I have is I have access to everything that I would need at this college extension a block away. I have the CNC router. I have lasering cutters. I could do anything I wanted. I just have to have the design. But the idea that I have in mind is to modularize racks, by which I mean, typically, any racks that I've seen, you have to buy them either 1, 3, 6, right? But I think it would be cool to be able to have a setup where you can get one, and then you can add as many as you want to it. You could add 2, 3, 4, and you just add modules to it, if that makes any sense. But anyway, I digress about something nobody cares about. Yeah, I hear somebody's kind of echoing what I was saying about the Landyachtz. You got it on sale for $59. It's fun on concrete once you're at a specific spot, but I work at Redmond for trialing from point. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. Yeah, but yeah, you're saying what I'm saying, where it's like, yeah, it's fun. You can have fun on it. Of course. Sure. But if I have a choice between a Carver CX and a Landyachtz, I'm never going to pick the Landyachtz. Have I thought about doing a review on the Loaded Tangent? Yes, I have. I will eventually. I got 1,000,001 other priorities right now, but it's on my list. I'm curious. I like it. It's a whole new category, kind of. Combining the best of all world, the best of LDP with the best of Surfskate, where you get the long distance pumping with the carving ability. It's an intriguing concept, and I want to try it. And of course, if I try it, then I'm going to review it. Show us your racks. I mean, they're nothing special. They're just, you can see my light here. Get a little behind the scenes peek there. Okay. Somebody asked on the video how to replace your Waterborne surf adapter bushing. The Waterborne stock bushing feels way too loose, very hard to get forward momentum with those. Does anyone feel the same, or is it just me? No, I'm the same way. And yes, and then the follow-up question is, will the 97.5A bushing change this a lot or just a little? It changes it a lot. It's substantial. And then somebody else responds to them and says the exact word that I use for it. They say, I agree, it is floppy and not enough roll resistance. A stiff bushing sounds like a good thing to try. Yes, the Waterborne on the standard bushing, which is 95A, is what I would call floppy. But I also say that for my weight. If I weighed less than, say, 150, then I would probably want that bushing. But anything above, I mean, between, say, 150 and 175 is going to be a personal preference, but definitely over 175, if you're asking me, that Riptide 97.5A bushing feels way better on the Waterborne. And when I make my video on what trucks work best on the Bigfoot, I'll make sure to give that as the caveat, because I wouldn't be a big fan of the Waterborne with the 95 with the softer bushing. I don't think it'd be too floppy with not enough. You get also more forward momentum out of that stiffer bushing. The one challenge with that 97.5A bushing is that they break. I think that durometer is just a little bit too brittle for the torque on that surf adapter. But also, I don't know if it's certain batches, because you get, every urethane batch you get has some differences, has some variances to it. And, like if you pour it in a cool temperature or humidity, I'm told that all that stuff affects it. But I know that they've had some batches that they had some breakages in them, but so maybe it's just a batch thing. But I personally have had 2 of those 97.5A bushings break on me, and it's not like it's a huge deal. It, you don't like wipe out or anything. It just gets really loose on you. And by the way, if you buy one of those from me and it breaks, I'll just replace it. Even though they break, I still use it, because it's like, what else am I going to do? It just feels better anyway. So whatever. And it's freaking $4.99, so whatever. I was at Zoomies today. Someone says I'm reading. I was at Zoomies today looking specifically at their racks, like the absolute nerd that I am. Yeah, the rocks it's always been an issue for me with the Surfskates, because they don't make them for Surfskates. That's I think that's a little niche that there's some place that could be created some value there. And like I say, I have wanted to, but I need somebody smarter than me to design the system. So yeah, the Waterborne bushing change is substantial, very significant. Somebody asked on my video of making a longboard deck, do you think less than 11 plies could be an option for light riders? So actually, it's funny. I wasn't using the right veneers. I have not been able to find the right veneers. All my veneers are trash. It's all garbage. Like, it's funny. I spent so much money on these veneers and they're all useless to me. They served a purpose in the sense that I was able to shape some boards and do a prototyping process. But long story short is, in that video, I was saying that was going to be the equivalent of 11 plies. But that's what I had to go with those, my thinner veneers. But these, the 10 ply that I'm on now, which is the right veneers from my manufacturer, is actually a little bit stiffer. Mine, because they're a lot thinner, which means that you have to use more layers and more glue. They're like what I would call like they have almost like a soggy feel to them, right? Where because you're not getting the stiffness out of the wood, you're getting it in the glue, and that glue is flexible. So anyway, my point being, yes, 11 plies was too much for this deck. And I'm really curious to see. So when I delivered my 50-inch molds to Madrid last week, I also delivered to them. I've made one 57-inch mold, and I delivered that to them, and they're going to press me 3 blanks and get those to me. And I had them. I'm having them press them in 10 ply, 11 ply, and 12 ply because we're at 10 ply on this 50-incher. And I think we're going to be at 10 or 11 on the 57. And I'm really hoping, fingers crossed, that we can get away with 10. But my concern is that we'll probably have to go up to 11. And it's not a big deal. The only reason it's a concern is I just try to keep the weight down as much as possible. But yeah, on this 50-incher, honestly, you could very easily get away with 9 ply if you were under, say, 150. And, you know, it could be, they have to sell first, or, you know, once we prove the concept, we can consider this, but it could be an option to have different flex options. You know, I could press some with 10 ply, some with 9 ply for different weight riders, but one step at a time. Somebody asks about the Curfboard. Have you already tested the Curfboard? Yes, lots. Would you mind testing the new fishboard with the wedge risers? I'm very curious if it makes the difference with the Curfboard. So I don't need to test the fishboard to use wedge risers on the Curfboard, and I have tried wedge risers on the Curfboard, and yes, it does make a big difference. You want to de-wedge it with an angle of between 8 and 12 degrees. And that will make for a much smoother rail-to-rail lean on that Curfboard. So to de-wedge it means you want, here, I can't see my screen here. You want to have the thicker part of your riser on the front. Is de-wedging. Wedging would be the thicker part of the riser as on the more the rear back bolt holes. Okay. We'll probably call it a night here. We've been going an hour. Unless is there any other final questions from those of you who are live here? If so, type them. I'll look at a couple other questions here in comments, but I think we'll call it a night here. Somebody asked if you tried long distance pump boards like the Pantheon Supersonic. Not the Pantheon Supersonic, but I do have a G-bomb bracket board. Although the deck, it's just G-bomb brackets. I don't know what the deck is, but yeah, I have a bracket LDP setup, and I actually really like it. It's a really fun addition. There's one reason why I don't ride it anymore. It has nothing to do with the setup. We have miles and miles of really great trails here in St. George, Utah, but where I'm at, the ones where I skate to, you know, going out my house, they have these massive cracks in them. And it's just not fun to be pumping and you're just hitting these cracks all the time. So I got to find, if I'm going to be doing the LDP thing, I got to find smoother concrete, but it's just, that wasn't any fun. Jeff, hey, listen, brother, it was my pleasure to give you that APA sting, and I'm so glad that you're having fun on it. Remind me where you are, Jeff. Are you even able to skate right now? Or are you in snow right now yourself? I would think that you're not skating much right now. What do you think of the arbor decks? And I don't know if you mean like they're just their regular decks, or if you're talking about their collaboration decks with Carver. And I have no idea. I've never tried one, but they look good. That's all I can say for whatever that's worth. Let's do this as a final question, unless there are any other. Yeah, Jeff says sick of the flu. Oklahoma's cold right now. Sorry to hear that, Jeff. Get better. And yeah, it's been brutally cold. I honestly haven't been out in a good month because it's been so freaking cold. Oh, that's cool. That's fun, Jeff. Okay. Somebody says on my custom Hamboards build, the Hamboards Classic build, looks like so much fun. Been watching your channel, bought some parts off your site. Thank you so much. For my 2 Carver boards, trying to figure out what the optimal size is for a campus log cruiser with Waterborne adapters. Any recommendations? Seems like the Coastal Drifter might be one of the easiest to get boards, but I'm curious if 60 inches is overkill, or if a board in the upper 40s to mid 50s is just as good. What's your favorite wheelbase so far for this style? I mean, listen, brother, as far as I'm concerned, the longer the better. Like me personally, 50 inches is my minimum. I would not mess around with the deck. If you're going to go long. It depends on your height. If I were shorter, then I imagine like a 46 to 48 inch size could be a great little size. But man, if you're going to go for a longboard, go long, brother. That's what I say. But as far as what ones you get, it's not like you go to the longboard store and select which longboard you like. What you do is you hang around eBay and Facebook Marketplace every single day, and you just get lucky when you find one, and you take what you can get is what you do. Because there's it's like, what options do you have? Coastal doesn't sell anymore. You'll find them, but they're just like whatever remaining stock is left, or people selling used ones, but Coastal's gone. You can get Hamboards, but my opinion on Hamboards is there's only 2 that I like. The Big Fish is kind of interesting. I'll do a custom build of that, but for me on the Hamboards, I don't like their logger. I don't like the Huntington Hop at all. I don't like the logger at all. I don't like the Pescadito. So the Classic, the Pinger, and the Fish, Hamboards are all right. If you can find the Sector 9s, those are the most common ones you'll find, I think, is the Sector 9s. And I've found there's 2 versions, the 55 and 57. 55 has concave and kicktail and nose, and 57 is flat. I've personally purchased, because I use them for giveaways and stuff, but I bought, I think, 5 of the 55 inchers and 4 of the 57 inchers. The 57 inches are harder to find for whatever reason. But anyway, long story short is it's not like when it comes to these decks over 50 incher or over 50 inches, we don't have options. You just take what you can get, and it's all, unless it's Hamboards. Well, I guess Kahuna Creations is still in business, so you could get a Kahuna Creations Bombora. There's birch boards now you can get on eBay. And Birch was founded by this Derek Horn, who's the same guy who founded Coastal. He founded Coastal and then sold it to the distributor who ran into the ground. And then after they ran into the ground, then he started Birch boards. So if you go on eBay and look for Birch boards, he's got several models. But there's only one of his that I would consider for Surfskate trucks, and it's the I don't know what it's called. I'm looking at it, but he's got like a 68 incher that's crazy flexy, that's totally worthless for surf skates. I have no idea what anybody would use that for. And then he's got another one where it narrows at the tail, and I would never get that one that narrows the tail, because for these surf skates, you don't want to have your wheels sticking out on those axles like that. And so anyway, that was a really long answer to say, yeah, good luck finding a longboard, brother. It's just, you take what you can get. We're not dealing with personal preference out here in this field. We're dealing with what we can get our hands on. Okay. I used to skate UC Irvine before Waterborne was a thing. Yeah, I've been to Pat's skates there at UC Irvine. He's got a couple good skates there. I've been to his favorite skates. UC Irvine is where Pat DeMa was. I believe is where he was going to school when he developed the surf adapter. So he has a lot of skate ons there. All right. Well, thanks everybody. Appreciate having you. Good to see you again. Our next one will be March 2nd. What do you know? How rare is that we 2 months in a row, it's the Sunday is the same day of the week, 2nd. Okay. All right. So I'll see everybody March 2nd. Thanks for having you. Have a good night and have a good month.